Good morning and welcome back to Yoga with Kayla. Welcome to the channel if you're new, where we practice yoga as a daily spiritual routine, a daily practice for overall well-being, and ultimately we're here to raise our level of consciousness through breath work, through yoga and meditation, body awareness, setting intentions, and practicing to be a more present being rooted in our inner being. So I'm very inspired by one of our spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle. So it gives you a little bit more of a understanding of where I'm coming from with my teachings and where my attention is as I'm doing yoga. So if that's something that sounds intriguing to you and you're on that path, then I hope you enjoy your here. This is the perfect place for you then. The way we're going to get started today is simply by closing the eyes and bringing attention to the breath and starting to close in your attention inward. Bring the attention inward. So go ahead and get a comfortable seat. Find a comfortable seat. I'm sitting up on a meditation cushion. It helps if your hips are a little bit tight to have your hips higher than your knees, or you just think of it as your knees below the hips, and it creates some more space there for you. Once you get settled, close your eyes. Sit up nice and tall and start to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Your next inhale, breathe in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 4. Continue breathing on this count of 4 in and out to create balance in your breath, evening out the inhales and the exhales. Bring the hands to your heart. Drop the chin just slightly. Set an intention for your practice today. And also beyond just the time frame of your practice, have the intention to continue your intention for the rest of the day. So we're practicing mindfulness and becoming more conscious on and off of the yoga mat. And if you're like me, I don't always use the yoga mat. But the point is that the time of meditation bleeds into the rest of the day as well. Release the hands down and back behind the low back. Clasp your fingers. Press the palms and then straighten out the arms. Draw the shoulder heads away from your ears. So I'll show you what this looks like behind me. Clasp hands, press the palms together, and then start to straighten out the arms. This might not be accessible for everyone, and that's okay. Just have the intention of working towards opening up the shoulders, the collarbone, the front of the chest. Squeeze and the shoulder blades into the back. And just take it as a place of where you're at now with your body. Go ahead and take one ear to one shoulder. Stretch out the length of the side of the neck. Maintain your attention with your breath. And then go ahead and drop the chin down to the chest to let the top of the head go heavy as you stretch through the length of the back of the neck. After a deep breath there or two, slowly start to roll the other ear to the other shoulder, stretching out the length of that side of the neck. So it doesn't matter which side you're on, we're just stretching the neck out. Try to relax both shoulders down and away from the ears and soften your face. Bring the head to neutral, softly blink the eyes open, release the grip of your hand, let the hands rest onto the knees. Great. So today we're working on back bends. We're going to do a full wheel. You might not get there all the way today, but you'll have the practices, the tools to get you there. So we're going to first open up the chest a little bit more than we already have in a restorative, more passive posture. So use a blanket or a bolster or a pillow to put down where it will rest in between along the spine and between the shoulder blades in the middle of the back. So you'll want to sit up close to whatever you're using. Maybe you have a bolster. Just find whatever allows you to get into a passive bridge pose here. So with the legs, you can do this as a dual stretch if you'd like, by bringing the feet behind you and stretching out the hip flexors. But if that's not available to you because of the knees or for whatever reasons, maybe it's a little too tight, then you can just simply stretch the legs out or keep the knees bent. So you choose what works best for your body. I'm going to grab a pillow and put it underneath my head for some support because there's such a gap in between the pillow or my head and the ground. Okay, once you get set up, your chest will be pressed up towards the ceiling. Allow your arms to rest on the sides of you or maybe up overhead. Breathe deeply into the rib cage. You can even take your hands to touch your rib cage, and it makes for more connection to your body. If you're having a hard time connecting to your body, then it's always a great thing to do to just bring your hand to that place of the body. Use your sense of touch to connect. There's nothing else more important for you to do right now than to be here now. Simply rooted in being, with your attention on the inhale and feeling the expansion within the body and the diaphragm, and your attention on the exhale and feeling into how the body contracts and hugs in. And anytime a random thought comes up into your mind, just notice it and then take a deep breath. Shift your attention back to your breath and your body. The mind will want to distract you as much as possible because it doesn't want you to be present. So we have a choice here. to practice presence or to allow ourselves to be swayed and controlled by the mind or the ego. I use those two interchangeably. We're going to slowly transition out of this posture. So you can roll over onto your side or tuck and roll. Bring the knees up, lift the chest, and then remove that block, bolster, pillow, whatever you have underneath you to the side for now. Press the hands back behind you and fingertips spread nice and wide, pointed towards the feet. We're going to come into a tabletop pose. So press into the feet and then lift the hips up to the sky. Look down at the belly, and then again, bring the breath into the rib cage. So on your inhales, the rib cage expands and lifts up towards the head. And even on the exhale, keep the breath up as high into the ribs as you can without bringing the belly into the equation. Slowly lower the hips down to the ground. Okay, we're going to shift our weight, turn around, come onto hands and knees. Inhale, lift the tailbone up, drop the belly down, bring the chest through, cow pose. And exhale, tuck and round the back. Press out, press away from the ground through the hands and even the toes. Breathe in deeply, make the breath as long as the movement. And allow your exhale to guide you through this cat pose. Push all the breath out. Come back to a neutral spine here. Take the knees wide, toes to touch. Send the hips to your heels. Come into child's pose. And I just want to thank all of you who are here showing up to this daily yoga practice. I know it's not the most fancy setup, but I'm working with what I have, and I really believe in spreading positivity and sharing yoga and being a part of a community that wants to do better for themselves and others, and working on their own personal development in all ways: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. One more breath here in child's pose. See if you can melt and sink into the ground a little bit more on this exhale. On the inhale, allow it to lift you up like you're filling yourself up like a balloon. Bring the feet to the knees close together. And then walk the hands back behind you, fingertips pointed forward. Press the chest forward, arch the back. Lean the head back just slightly, but keep the strength, integrity in the neck. We're going to round the back, bring the hands forward, And then tuck the toes, lift up, come into plank pose. Deep breath here as you push away from the ground. And exhale, lower down. You can use the knees if you need to. All the way to the mat. Bring the elbows out underneath the shoulders and lift the chest. Just light, small, low back bend here. Fingers are spread wide, and the gaze is just soft out in front. Not really looking at anything in particular. And this is your drishti point. Drishti is a Sanskrit word for your gaze, your visual attention. We're going to slowly stretch our back a little bit more, and also keep in mind that the front of the body, the abdomen, is getting a really good stretch too, which is very helpful when we're getting into bridge pose and full wheel. So press away, press into the ground, start to straighten out the arms, lift the elbows up and away. Activate the legs, squeeze the glutes, and then even point the toes and press down through the tops of the feet into the ground. So you have a lot of space to work here with the intensity of your back bend. So you can start to walk your hands up a little closer to the hips to get a deeper stretch. So on this inhale, breathe in, look forward, and then exhale, look over the left shoulder, down towards your feet. Great. Inhale, back to center. Exhale over the right shoulder. Let's do that again. Inhale, head smoothly looks forward and moves. Exhale, shift the gaze over the left shoulder. And inhale, back to center. Exhale over the right shoulder. Inhale, back to center, look forward, and then bend the knees. Bend at the knees, bend the legs. Roll out the ankles in both directions, and then point and flex the feet. Here you can take your hand out into the center, or you can bring it down onto the ground. Reach your left arm up and over. Really expand and stretch out that arm before you make contact with your foot or your ankle. Hug it in. And then from here, it's up to you how deep of a stretch you want to go into this pose. You could stay here, or you could adjust and say, hey, maybe I do have a little bit more flexibility available to me, and then straighten out the right arm to lift up. So these muscles that we're stretching, the front of the body and the back of the body all at the same time, we're in the shape of bridge and full wheel, basically. We're working towards that, but in a more passive, more relaxed kind of way, so that when we do get ready for those bigger poses, all of the muscles are prepared. Let's take a few deep breaths on the right side now. Relax the shoulders and anywhere else that you can release tension. Parts of the body that don't really require any activation at this moment. Go ahead and release that foot. Lower down. Bring the hands underneath you. Rest your shoulder or your forehead or your cheek onto your hands. Wiggle the hips side to side. Okay, we're gonna press ourselves up and come into bridge pose. Might feel nice to pause and maybe round the back for a moment here into make a small ball or even a child's pose for a moment. We're gonna mosey our way onto the back. Keep the knees bent and the feet planted onto the ground. Hands down with the palms lifted up. Press into the heels. Inhale, lift the hips up to the ceiling. Squeeze the glutes and hug the inner thighs in toward one another. And then exhale, lower down, windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Okay, so you can do bridge pose again here, or start to shift into Shavasana or constructive rest pose. Or you can go a little bit deeper, further with your back bend today and practice full wheel. It requires a lot of present state of mind, of being, with your attention in your body. So reach the arms up, spread the fingers wide, bend at the elbows, bring the hands on either side of your ears, and get the fingers pointed as straight as possible, directly facing down towards the feet. Elbows up, press through the fingertips. Try to feel the majority of your palm pressing into the ground as well. And then firmly press through both feet evenly. Start to slowly shift the hips up to the ceiling. And then from here, really press down through the hands to lift up and straighten out the arms. Once you're there, relax the head and neck. And you can stay here and take 3 to 5 deep breaths. You can also straighten out the legs. It requires a little bit more strength and flexibility. You can try it out. Toes pointed forward. And breathe into the rib cage. After your last breath, tuck the chin into the chest and slowly lower down to the ground. Awesome. Take the knees side to side. Release the low back. Awesome. We'll come into our final rest here. So whatever you choose, if you want to do constructive rest, which is what I'm doing, where you allow the knees to fall in toward one another with the feet out wide. This is a way to relax the psoas muscle. Or you can extend the legs down flat and rest in Shavasana. But it is very important to take this final rest. So I highly encourage you engage in this part of the practice, and that you don't miss out on it, that you don't skip it. So once you're there, close the eyes, bring attention to the breath. And we'll go through a body scan. So bring attention now, not only to the breath, but also to the sensations in the feet. You can even visualize a light in the feet. It could be any color that you imagine. And see this light filling up into the ankles, the lower part of the legs, the knees, up into the tops of the legs, the hips, internally into the organs, up into the stomach and the ribs. Get a sense of your heart beating in your chest. Continue to breathe connected breaths. See this light fill into the arms, down the hands, out the fingers, up into the neck, head, out through the top of the head. And feel the whole body as one. Stay here for about 5 to 10 minutes, just soaking up the present moment. Thank you for being here today. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Namaste.